whether or not people want to hear it. Parents don't help all the time. You do get parents that like to live through their kids, essentially, which is fine. You do that, but you still have to let your kids live their dream for them.
If someone under your care, under your leadership, decides to go to another location for whatever reason, it's almost never about you. It's about where their needs are.
Look, you are right. I do love you, but we have a job to do. So, enough with the attitude.
I think it's really important that we never underestimate that people really are always looking up to us. As adults, as a coach, as a gym owner, as a parent in particular, we just have this huge responsibility to bring up this generation behind us.
Carly, good to have you. I'm so excited. And for all of the people who are not in the cheerleading world, I know Carly's talking about cheerleading today, but this is your world too. And I want you to just soak that up for a minute and listen to what she has to say, because she's a delight and we're excited to hear you. So Carly, talk to us a little bit about your gym that you own in the cheerleading world. It's called Ice Fusion. Why did the world need Ice Fusion, and what does that journey look like for you from the beginning?
Oh, good question. I'm glad we're starting from the beginning, to be fair, because it has been quite a journey for us. So my daughter, who is now 21, nearly 22, started cheer when she was 5. And she started in a little gym down in Eastbourne, and it was just to see how it was going. And personally, from my side, as a child, I loved all things cheerleading. It was obviously a very American thing, and it was all I wanted to do. But in the UK, when I was younger, it wasn't, I suppose it was around a little bit, but not where I knew anything about it or my parents knew about it. So when I found it for Skylar... It was
certainly grassroots back in the day, right? It was a grassroots thing.
Yeah, definitely. So when I found it for Skylar, I suppose, if anything, I got her into it because it was what I wanted to do as a child. But she fell in love with it straight away. And she was probably there for 3 or 4 years. And just kind of within that time, it was just a one training session a week thing. They weren't competing in the beginning. So it was all just very basic for her, but she made so many friends, of which she's actually still friends with quite a few of them now, which is really nice.
Can I pause for a minute, because you're talking about this experience with your daughter, and in case people don't know, so Carly owns the gym called Ice Fusion, and parents pay tuition for their children to come and learn choreography and learn routines. The sole purpose of your gym is to either develop recreational cheerleaders or competitive cheerleaders. And those competitive cheerleaders come to large arenas and they do a 2.5-minute routine, and they perform according to their ages and their skill levels in different divisions to win titles in their arena. And they do it with the team that they love on a seasonal basis. So now share with us, you're talking, so Skylar's performing, she's making friends, keep going.
So after kind of a couple of years, it was starting to slow down a little bit, and I was very involved with the club. I kind of ran the committee side of stuff and helped with comp entries and things like that. And we just wanted a little bit more. And I was going back and forth with, should I train to be a cheer coach? Should I not? Is it something that I should do? And to be fair, I was told not anyone can be a cheer coach. I was kind of being swayed not to do it, which kind of made me want to do it even more. So I decided
you saw the challenge.
Challenge accepted by Carly.
That's kind of how I am. So I thought, okay. So I went and got qualified. And we just started as it was a Monday after school thing with just tumbling and learning little stunts here and there. And the other club was kind of on its way to winding down. And I just said, you know what, it's now or never. And we just need to kind of take the plunge. So after I got my qualifications, we started thinking about names. And to be honest, I cannot even remember where Ice Fusion came from. It just appeared, really, and we was like, no, actually I really like that, let's keep that, let's go with that. And then the once a week on a Monday turned into, we got more people in and involved in that, and they wanted to learn more the cheer side of stuff and the stunting and everything that goes with it. So we decided to make our first team, which was a level 2 team. And yeah, it kind of went from there. We started with maybe 20 athletes, and yeah, it then just grew. And so our very first season was your guys' first season over here with the competing side of stuff. And
it was the legacy first season.
It was.
Yeah. So that was in Inspire Greatness was the second competition. This was in 2014 so. In the fall, late 2014.
Yeah, and it was up in Bath in the university.
Yes,
that's right.
So it was about competition 2 or 3. It was.
But reflect back on that with us, Carly, because in 2014 you had just gone from basically cheer mom to a credentialed coach to, okay, now we're a gym owner, and you came up with the name, and you had, a handful of kids, 20 kids ish. And at this point, as you look back, you see how much you didn't know that you didn't know at that time. And because you have such a successful and wonderful program, not just skill wise, but culturally, now, when you look back, how do you reconcile how that all developed in the very beginning? Did it feel like you were just really following a passion and figuring it out along the way? Did it feel naive? Did it feel scary? What was going through your mind in 2014 when you showed up to an event called Inspire Greatness to start your business the way you did?
It was everything, to be fair. It was all of the emotions rolled into one, because, as you say, I'd gone from cheer mum and doing all of the fun side of it, like getting Skylar ready for competition and just dropping her off and picking her up and getting to go in at the end of a session to see what they'd learned that day. So it was very different, because I'm then completely on the other side, where now these kids are coming to me, and I'm then, I actually have to choreograph stuff now and put routines together. And so I literally had to learn everything from scratch. So it was so much research into, okay, so I know from where she was before, the routines were set in this order, for example, and they had this kind of music and they do these kind of things. And it was just constant hours of YouTube, searching routines up, what people were doing, and trying to find coaches forums so I could talk to other coaches and try and get help that way. And I did my credentials through building from the ground up, and I was actually taught my credentials by Dave
What
Kenworthy.
year was that?
It would have been 2013, I think I did it towards the end of 2013. So where I was then taught by Dave Kenworthy, who's obviously the massive part of Unity.
He's great.
It was then watching Unity and what they're doing, and obviously they are still top of their game now and amazing now, but they were the same back then. It's whenever we saw Unity on the running order for comp, we was like, oh my God, okay, this is scary. Like they're the ones that we kind of want to be like, and where we want to be as a program. But where we were so small and had so much to learn, we knew that we had a big journey ahead of us to get there. And don't get me wrong, like we've been really lucky, even from our first competition with you guys. For us, it couldn't have gone any better. If you had picked out a dream out of a hat for these kids that had either just started cheer or had come over from where we were, there was one dream, and it was just to be up there with the best and to be able to stand a chance at winning. And trying to see if we were actually good enough to get those titles and stuff. And
I love, Carly, I love that you're pointing this out, because for me, that's the beauty of a sport, any sport, when you can look at a team, especially at the elite level, and not only honor and respect and appreciate what it takes to be as good as you can be. I also love that you wanted to compete against that and with that and alongside that, because there's so much emotional intelligence wrapped up in a bow for you right there, because you have to be pretty self-aware to understand that great competition is a really good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Rivalries are amazing. And you saw that from the very beginning, not just from the skill level, but also from the human level, because you were embracing, hey, where can I learn? Who can I speak to? How can I elevate? And I also see it now, and I know that you may not see this for yourself, but we see you doing the same thing for the sport now, because you've been wearing these founder shoes, this founder hat for a dozen years now. And you do have some things under your belt. And I would say you guys are quite amazing as a gym for a lot of ways. And we'll talk about that. But I see you putting your arm around other gyms too, who are now in the shoes that you were in back then. And so the fact that you were able to do that was really special. And I think it contributed a lot to how fast and cleanly you guys grew as a program.
Yeah.
And I want to jump in and say a few things I heard, and then jump back to what Aly was talking about on the emotional intelligence conversation. A couple of things I saw that anybody who's listening to this can take away and gain. This is if you're in cheerleading or not. So one of the things you talked about was how hard you had to work and you had to learn everything. So that really is a spotlight on your work ethic, and the fact that you weren't afraid to be comfortably uncomfortable and learn what you needed to learn and retain the information and make mistakes and fail and get back up. It's the model that you now can use with your own athletes. You don't have to know it all. You just have to be imperfect and then build from there. And you have to try again when it doesn't work. So that's one thing that I picked up, which you just nonchalantly dropped in this little conversation, because it's no big deal to you, but it's a big deal in life. And it's a big deal when we're going to get to this conversation about emotional intelligence. I'm circling back to this. So the next component I saw for you was that you understood that no matter what you know, there's always something more to know, that it's important to build mentorship in your life. It's important to build community. That's why we have the L3 community, to lift each other up. It's important to be coachable, to coach and be coachable. And you can do that at the same time. Parents do that all the time, where you don't know there's no rule book for parenting. It's different for every situation. And that happens from the time they're born till the time they're grown adults, well past this whole 18 years old, they're adults. No, they're not. They just are more grown up. And then you still parent after that, as we all know. So what I like about that element for you is that you took some coachable moments to be able to now become the coach that Aly was referring to. And one of the ways you did that was you really were intelligent about how to manage your own emotions. And then as you started gathering other people, you understood how to read and understand and interpret and leverage properly and teach properly, not just the physical skills, but the emotional regulation it takes for the ups and downs of life in general, not just sport, but life in general, whether it be your own or your coaching staff or the athletes or the parents that you work with. You're a master at understanding that intelligence piece.
I try very hard.
You're good at it. You're good at it. What would you say to somebody who is kind of in the early stages of either building, not just a cheerleading gym, but if they're building any entrepreneurial effort or any new career? Not the physical things, but how do you look at the emotions of the people around you and make those parts work together?
I just think you have to stick with it in anything that you're doing. If you're going to take the jump and try and build something and follow your dream, like we've done here at Ice Fusion, you just have to, in a way, just suck everything up, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you have to deal with it in the moment that is happening. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a massive worrier and a huge people pleaser. So I'm always trying to please everyone, which we all know is pretty impossible, but I try my hardest to do that. But you just have to take it as it comes, and there are going to be days where you do want to quit, because I still have them now. I'm like, no, this is too much. I get to that point where I'm done with this now, and have a little bit of a hissy fit about it. And then once I've kind of calmed down and stop being a child at times, I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe that was a bit dramatic. But sometimes, especially when you're dealing with whatever it is, whether it's athletes or parents or whatever, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, and it's never ever going to be that way as much as you want it to. But as long as you are committed to your dream and what you're trying to achieve, and just hold on to that even on the really hard days, you will always get to the good days. And then when you do get there, and whether that's an athlete achieving a skill, or your team hitting their first zero, or learning the stunt that they've been working so hard for, or going to comp and getting that hit zero, or the first place, or even top 3, you go, this is exactly why I stuck to my guns and kind of got through those hard times. And everything is achievable, because going from cheer mum to cheer coach, I genuinely was told in a roundabout way, not anyone can do this. And I've kind of proven them wrong, even if I do say so myself, because I've worked hard, and Skylar's worked hard, and we may not have got into it, or me, should I say, got into it the conventional way of it starting with cheer and being an athlete and turning into coach and everything like that. But if you're willing to learn and willing to ask for help and embrace when you're wrong, and and celebrate when you do it right, then you can do anything really when you put your mind to it. So it's just to stick at it, whether you want those days where you want to quit, just stick, because you can achieve what you want to do.
I think it speaks very much to a couple of things for you, Carly. Number one, on the hardest of hard days, you were really clear on why you were doing this from the very beginning. And that is the common thread that we hear from the most successful people and the highest achievers across all industries, and the thousands of people that we've coached before, is that when things are really, really hard, and it's even hard to get out of bed in the morning to go do what you have to do, understanding why you were doing what you were doing 1000% has built who you are personally as Carly, but also it has built the entire culture of Ice Fusion, and it has impacted all of the athletes who are under your wings. Is there a specific moment or moments that you can think of that circles you back into why you do what you do?
I
know there's a lot of moments, but
I think the biggest one for us was when we got our very first bid to All-Star Worlds.
So explain what a bid is for everyone to understand that.
The bid that we won, it was an invitation to go and compete in Orlando at All-Star Worlds, which was a new EP that had started their own kind of world competition in America. I think the year that we went may have been their second year, so again they were relatively new. But for us, it was a big deal, because we've been running 13-14 years or whatever it is, but even though America was always the dream, it always seemed very, very kind of untouchable for us. And again, not because we didn't think we were good enough, but just for financial reasons. the fact that we're still a relatively small program and we train in a school hall and have done from the beginning, I just didn't think it was ever going to come our way. And we've got a lot of teams in the UK who really started to set the bar in All-Star Level 1, which was predominantly where we were. And we knew that if we was ever going to be likely to get a bid, that we had to almost relearn everything and knuckle down and really look at what was changing within the level. So yeah, when we got our first bid and we saw how much it meant to the kids, because we didn't even know, we was waiting for the announcements to come out on social media, and we asked all the kids to come in. We was like, look, we can't guarantee anything, but if we do it all together, whether we've got one or not, at least we're all together and we can either celebrate together or we can cry together. Like either one, we're doing it together. So, you know, they all had their little cameras set up and we was all waiting. Everyone was anxious. Everyone was pacing, even Coach Wayne and Skylar pacing around like, oh my God, when is this going to kind of come out? So when we played the social media post, and I think we must have been at least halfway through or towards the end, so we was waiting, and when we just saw our name on the announcement, the kids just went absolutely crazy mad. And it was, so we were celebrating and crying together at the same time, because they just couldn't believe that they'd won this opportunity to go and compete in America. So we all just kind of,
and
once
me,
Skylar
pause
and
for a
Wayne,
second, Carly. Hang on, don't
Yep.
fly past. This moment was huge. And I want to share with not just our cheerleading friends, but even if you are not inside the cheerleading world, inside the cheerleading industry or cheerleading world, the moment that you didn't just win a bid to go compete in America, what that really represented is what it brought all of that emotion. I mean, you earned it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing you skipped past earlier is that you guys don't have the resources that a lot of the gyms have. Definitely not the same as the American gyms. And also,
no,
unlike many of the UK gyms at this point, because they're all kind of elevating now. You guys are practicing in a school hall. You are on a dead floor, which is very different than what you guys are competing at. So there are a lot of excuses that could have come by the wayside that you guys said, you know what? This is the circumstance. This is what we're going to work on. We will not use that as a crutch. We will use that to our advantage. And you were able to not only build the physical skills that didn't just win on a score sheet, it was all of the skills and all of the culture that it took to achieve a certain goal that they had. So it wasn't about winning a trophy or winning a bid or winning a thing. It really was like, wow, we did this together as a team, and it wasn't easy and we didn't have all of the advantages, but this is what we worked on for so long. And for me, that's the value of any sport. It's the value of any startup company, for that matter. When the entire team is working on a project and all of a sudden something clicks and you land that first contract or that first big thing for the company. And it works the same way in our own families. You know, when we as a family are trying to achieve certain things, the fact that it's hard and you didn't use that as your excuse and you did it anyway is really, really cool to watch. And I think that's the biggest part of the emotion that you saw in those moments. Is there, with all of that in mind, is there something about your story, and it's a pretty cool story, but is there something about your story or the Ice Fusion story in general that people may have gotten wrong sometimes?
Yeah, I think so. I do think sometimes we can be a little bit underestimated at Ice Fusion.
That's a good
obviously
thing.
I think we just kind of, sometimes we just kind of blend into the background, and because we're just a gym that keeps our head down. It can get so very competitive. especially if you're in close proximity to other gyms and stuff, which we are. So, you know, we've lost athletes to other gyms, we've gained athletes from other gyms, and that is kind of
Speak to that. What is your opinion? What is your opinion? Because you said we've lost athletes, we've gained athletes to the competition, basically. Other gyms is your competition as a business. Yeah. Speak to that, because there are multiple views on if that's an issue, how that's an issue, what to do about that. Should we do, is there a rule? What is your personal opinion about athletes bouncing around?
Yeah, I don't think there should be a rule as such. I think it's not every gym is the right gym for everyone, because everyone is so different. And I think you have to find the right gym for you. You know, I've had athletes leave and I've had athletes come back. And like I said, I've lost athletes to other gyms. In my personal experience, it's, whether I should say it or not, it's been a lot of glory hunting, especially when you see other gyms doing so extremely well, whether that be in the UK or whether that be in America. Everyone wants a piece of it. Athletes, parents.
You know, that's interesting you say that. And the term is correct. The world right now and social media right now is creating and facilitating a glory hunting culture. So you can find influencers all over the place who are trying to sell their course on how to be a successful entrepreneur. And what they do is they stick themselves in a rented Lamborghini and park outside of some other building that they don't own. And, you know, rent the runway.
I'm so embarrassed for them. I'm so sorry.
And like, that's their edification. So, but that is kind of what society is like. Oh my gosh, you're not successful unless you're me. And then therefore, because I have a Lamborghini and nice clothes and a building I don't own, you don't know that. They literally have sets for Instagram people who can go on now. A set that's a fake airplane so they can pretend they're on the private jets. Yeah. Now, come on. But because that's the world, that is what they're being fed. And it trickles down in ways that people don't realize. Yeah.
And for me as well, whether or not people want to hear it, parents don't help all the time.
Correct.
You do get parents that like to live through their kids, essentially, which is fine. You do that, but you still have to let your kids live their dream for them as well. And again, when you see trophy after trophy after trophy, or summit win, summit win, summit win, summit win, anything like that, of course it's appealing. That is you would be crazy for it not to be appealing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be right for you if you move over to other gyms or whatever. And I've never had an issue with athletes leaving and going to see if they can find what they need somewhere else. The side of it, I
want to talk to coaches about that, youth sports coaches, cheerleading coaches, employers. If someone under your care, under your leadership, decides to go to another location for whatever reason, it's almost never about you. It's about where their needs are. And it might be rather you met those needs or rather you led efficiently. But in general, if you can just make your efforts in honoring what your people need and release them if you are unable to provide what they need with peace and goodwill and congratulations. And by the way, I know that you used to be at my gym and pay a year's worth of tuition to me. Now you're going to go give someone else your time, money, resources, and all that stuff. Initially, that might not feel good. But if you remember why you were doing what you were doing and you were building that person up and that chapter has closed, if you can say to that student, that athlete, that person who you employ, hey, I know you're moving on. I'm happy that you're going to go you're strong enough to talk to me and be professional and move on. I wish you so well. And I hope there's great things in your life, and do that genuinely. They will take that with them for the rest of their life. And it will just make room for the new people who can be in your space, who do want what you provide and what you are capable of providing.
Exactly this.
It feels contradictory, doesn't it? But it's real.
Of course, but that is something we've always tried really, really hard to do here. Don't get me wrong. I've had athletes that have left on bad terms. It's very minimal, but it happens. That's life. But for me, I think, and this is just our personal experience at Ice Fusion, it's always had to be something that's been quite secretive. And that's where I've struggled as a coach, and a lot of my other athletes have struggled, is because I would rather you tell me the truth. So even if it's going to hurt, I'd rather you tell me the truth so we can talk about it and I can wish you well and still support you going forward, no matter where you're going, rather than it having to be a secret. I feel like that. And this isn't the only gym that it happens at. It happens all around.
Yeah, it happens all around, in not just in the sport of cheerleading. It happens in life. And so, I mean, people ghosting people when they're dating creates pain. People leaving the job that they had without, a logical reason creates pain. People leaving Ice Fusion without a real conversation is painful. So there's all kinds of ways this takes shape. But I think part of the emotional intelligence of leadership can also trickle down to the emotional expectations for the people whom you are leading.
Well, it speaks to having these hard conversations.
Yes.
The reason they are keeping it a secret is because they understand, like, this is going to be hard, and everybody's invested. And so for them to come to you and say, hey, I'm leaving, that's a hard place for someone to be. And it does take a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to embrace that.
Especially for young people who want to please their coach all the time.
Yes. And to your point, Carly, to the extent that we can all provide that safety for them to where they can come to us and just say, you know what, this has been wonderful while we've been here. Here are the reasons X, Y, and Z. It's not fitting. But to be able to do that is not easy. It is a skill that has to be developed. And it is a skill that also gets developed from the time that we are babies. So by the time they are teenagers and they're making decisions on where they want to compete, a lot of that has already formed, and you have to work double time to be able to teach that skill. It is very teachable throughout the entire lifetime of our lives. But at the end of the day, I just want to offer grace to the ones who feel the need for that, because I want them to be able to learn hard conversations are a good conversation. Hard conversations are the gift of clarity. So,
and I've always been someone, I'm very old school with how I am, even down to manners cost you nothing. So, and your pleases and your thank yous, it's just kind of how I am. And
we're from Texas. I'm going to say yes, ma'am, to that.
Guys, everybody rewind and write that down.
Say it one more time, Carly.
Say it one more time for the fans in the back.
Kindness costs you nothing. Manners, guys, and pleases and thank yous go a very, very long way. Yes. But it's but Wayne's the same.
More a Carly at Ice Fusion, guys. That's a big deal.
Wayne is very much the same, and that's what I try, and what I've tried really hard to teach Skylar as she's obviously going on her coaching journey and stuff. And our biggest thing here is that I have always said family first, cheer second. I know you're here to cheer, but if you don't have the environment where you're safe and you feel loved and it's almost a home away from home, I would rather memories and future wins and all of the hard work be built on us as a family than it just being numbers through the door. And I think that's probably why we're still quite a relatively small program in comparison to others, is because as much as we would love to grow, and we do try to grow from season to season, we've never focused on pushing numbers through the door. It's just been kind of, we'll put the feelers out there, we'll see who kind of comes in and kind of go down that direction. I mean, don't get me wrong, doing family first before cheer can also have its downfalls, especially when you create such close bonds with athletes and parents and things like that. But again, that's like anything in life. There's always good and bad, sweet and sour. It's just how it works.
Well, say more about
it?
that,
So,
because that is one of the things I love about the Ice Fusion culture that you guys have built. I know that you know it's family, but I can tell you as the event provider where you guys show up and your families are walking into the arena, I can tell you it stands out what your culture is. It's very clear, even from the outside. But to your point, those lines can get blurred a little bit. You still have to have structure. You're still running a business. You're still having a high expectation, not just on the mat, but across the board, even in the off season. So let's talk about what does it feel like and how do you address when the family first blurs the lines of what actually needs to get done logistically?
It is hard to deal with in any kind of moment that comes up. But I have, again, always tried to deal with it as it's come. It doesn't happen often, but I think on the athlete side of stuff, we are very close with our athletes. Like, I love them like they're my own children. And
You've said you're a mom to
millions. Mum to millions, and Wayne's exactly the same. We take them under our wing, and it's not just turn up, warm up, cheer, pack away, go home. Like, we try to be here for the kids in any situation. If they're struggling at school, if they're struggling at home, just with friends in general, we're always, you can talk to us about anything if they need, because they can't, and it's not everyone, of course it's not, but they can't necessarily go home and do that. So they need a safe space and people that they can trust and know that loves them and cares for them, even, you know, even if it's just that they've had a bad day. If they want to have a 5-minute conversation, or they just need a hug when they walk through the door, it's just the way we've always done it. But in doing that at the same time, athletes get very comfortable. So sometimes there comes the attitude, there comes the turning up late, there comes the not putting in 100% because they think they can get away with it because, oh, she loves me, it's fine, I don't have to do this jump or do this running tumble. And then you kind of have to be like, look, you are right, I do love you, but we have a job to do. So, you know, enough with the attitude.
So there is accountability. And accountability is love, right? So that, what I love about leadership and what I love about being a coach is that you have this amazing opportunity to watch the light bulb moments literally in front of your face of all the people that you lead, be it employees or your staff or your athletes or the parents. You get to see these light bulb moments where they figure out, even if it's the moment where you're holding them accountable, where they'll figure out, oh, wow, she had high expectations of me because she believed in me that I could achieve those. She might be frustrating to me in this moment because she's on me, because she wants me to perform at my highest peak and I don't feel like it. And I'm mad because I missed the party to show up to a mandatory practice. But I also achieved something and did something great for myself because I was at practice. I learned how to do this skill, or I didn't let my teammates down. They may not see it in real time, but one day you're going to know that they know, because you'll see they're going to come to you one day and hug you and say, Coach Carly, you impacted my life. You changed me forever. You are the reason I tried something outside of cheerleading because I was brave and confident enough, and I built that confidence in my life. What are some examples? Have you seen that happen out loud in your life?
Absolutely. We definitely, where we do have such close relationships with our athletes, I am very lucky. I cannot sit here and say that I'm not blessed with the athletes that we have, because we truly, truly are. Don't get me wrong, again, we have our moments, but overall, we are absolutely blessed with the kids that we've got here, from the tiny, tiny babies up to our eldest that are in their 20s. They are such loving kids. And even it happens more so when we've been to competition and maybe the weekend's over, there'll be TikToks made about us coaches of, you know, no one believes in me like you do, and we love you so much, and thank you for always being there for me. And then there's a million photos that you don't even remember taking or have seen before that they've still got on their camera roll. And my kids are very loving that way, and they do say thank you. And like you said, Andrea, you know, we have our moments where they do get frustrated at me, they do get frustrated at Skylar, and they might not talk to us for an hour and walk around with sourpuss face. But when they do achieve what they want to achieve, especially at competition, it is then always thank you so much, we love you. And they're amazing like that. So we definitely do reap the benefits of having to push in those hard moments and having to tell them when maybe attitudes aren't quite right.
You brought up a good point, because you talked about the age range. So I want you to share with me your thoughts on kind of what your interface and interaction and experiences of their emotions are different from the different ages. So like when they're tinies, you're herding cats. They don't know which end is up, where left or right is. They're kind of all over the map, and they don't necessarily have the verbal skills or the social skills to have a filter or express things in the right ways and time, but they're super honest. But then you have the older athletes who are responding in a very different way, some ways more meaningful and impactful because they can express themselves, also harder to read maybe. But what are your experiences in the differences between just the emotion and the output and the engagement with the younger athletes versus the older, versus even the parents?
Yeah, I find that the younger ones really make me laugh. There are so many different little personalities that walk through the door on a Saturday morning. You know, I can have some absolutely running in, jumping up and down, morning car, and others come in and I'm like, morning guys,
they call
and they're
you
just
car
like,
car.
Yeah, that's that started actually with my niece, who's just turned 10, and she also cheers for us, which is lovely. The second I found out she was going to be a girl, I said to my sister, cheerleader. Like, I still would have done it had it been a boy, but I was so excited when she was a girl. And so we started her super, super early. But yeah, for her when she started talking, I was always Auntie Kaka, and it just went into cheer. And I don't think there's anyone here that calls me Carly, like not one person. It's all Kaka. It's same with Skylar. She's Squidge here. She's not Skylar, she's Squidge. Which has been her name, since she was a baby, and then Wayno, obviously. So, yeah, but that, again, just in little things like that, just goes to show kind of how we are as a family, because everyone's got nicknames here. Like, one of our athletes is called Nigel, and there's nothing Nigel about her whatsoever, but it just came about. It's something that stuck, and that's what she's called, and she just, you know, takes it on the chin.
So nicknames for everyone, Nigel. Every age. But what about so the younger ones make you laugh, then evolve into the conversation. Share us, what is it like working kind of with the preteens, the teenagers, and then parents there, because there's obviously key differences because everyone's in a different emotional state and a different communication state.
I would say with the middle ones, they are now at that age where they are very much looking up to teams like Code Black, and they're like, right, that's where I want to be. So they're starting to, what is our Lady Frost, I think, is our U12 prep group, and we have a U12 all-star group. And even though they're the same age range, they're two very, very different teams. Our our prep team, they are still on the younger side of the under 12s, whereas our all-star is on the older side, getting ready to again move up into like U16 or whatever is coming next. But they're very emotional, very, very emotional. And they want to, you've got half of them that just want to be on Code Black because they want the Code Black name. And then you've got the other half that actually, I want to work my little tushy off to be, I want to be like Izzy, who's flying center. I want to tumble like Lily, and you know, all of those kind of things. And it's really hard. And it goes the same with parents as well. They see the Code Black name that has been built and the reputation that has been built, and that's where I want my kid. That's where I need my kid. And we have to really push trust in the process. And on a cheer level, we know your kids better than anyone. We teach them every week. We teach them in their tumble sessions and everything like that. We know we're not just going to put or keep children on this team when they can clearly be in a higher level team just for the fun of it. There is a process to this journey. And if you are in competitive cheer, we all know it's a lifestyle. Like, look at Skylar, 5 years old, she's 21, she does coach now, but she still competes. She's in our level 5 team. So it can be an incredibly long journey, and it becomes a lifestyle, not only with financially, but with your time constraints, because especially when you're competing, it does stop you going on holidays as much as you want to, or family events as much as you want to, because when you're in competitive cheer, it is something that becomes a priority. And when you're trying to teach these kids that, yes, I know you want to get to Code Black, or I know you want to get to Demolition, but we have to work on this first, and don't rush through this team just to get to this team, because you're running before you can walk, and you're missing out on that journey of progressing up through all of the teams and the levels, the different levels, and doing it the right way. And to have that conversation with athletes and with parents can be really, really tricky, because all they see in that moment is the trophy that Code Black have and the summit bid that
it's short term versus middle term versus long term.
I love that you're bringing this up, Car. I love that you're bringing this up because you mentioned that this is a lifestyle. And to that point, I think it's really important that you're talking about, let's say, the goal of being on a certain team or achieving a certain award, all of that. But the lifestyle is simply code for what are we learning through this sport? Because at the end of the day, we will not be making our living by competing on Code Black or any other team for that matter in a career. But we will take away all of these other things from cheer, whether we achieve a certain trophy or banner or bid or whatever it is. All of the things that you are learning in the lifestyle of the sport will carry you so far. It will absolutely shape you, as you know, not just in the sport that you're in right now, short term. This is a long-term thing that you guys are learning. And the biggest one of them all is the grit that it takes. It is an actual skill. One of the most researched skills in regards to high performers and successful people in their careers. What does it take to become successful? It's grit. What are you learning in cheerleading? It's grit. What are you learning to embrace the process, embrace the journey? And to your point that the middle-aged kids are looking up to a generation that's slightly ahead of them, I think it's really important that we never underestimate that people really are always looking up to us. And as adults, as a coach, as a gym owner, as a parent in particular, we just have this huge responsibility to bring up this generation behind us. So if all we ever did was say, hey, go achieve that thing, that one particular thing, we miss the opportunity to be celebrating all of the incredible things that you are learning and growing
Absolutely.
with on the way.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to, as well, with the kids, is we've always been, especially when we're at competition, we love to support everyone, and especially
you guys are great
the
at
smaller
that.
gyms, we love to support everyone. And we always say, even if when we're sat in awards, it doesn't matter whether we're the first division being called or the last division being called, you do not move your butts until this award session is over, and you clap and you cheer everyone. It's not
Thank you
negotiable.
for that.
That is how we are. And
I think
Wayne is
that's
very,
so
very
important, because you've created that community for not only for your own athletes, but you're pouring out that to others. That's why we're building, Aly and I are creating an L3 community on school. And it's really to let everyone, you mentioned earlier, trust the process. And there is a system, and that system, be it at your gym or in our L3 school community or in any structure that we teach in a coaching environment, the process is built to be the framework for success. And you are taking your athletes through that framework. And one of the steps of that framework is to lift each other up. And that's what makes community work, that it's lifting people up and holding accountable.
I feel it's just something I feel really, really strongly about, is that everyone deserves their moment and everyone deserves to be supported, because again, everything can get so cliquey within cheer, and the rivalry can take over so much, and it's something that I really personally struggle with. And I don't want my kids, my athletes, to come across like it's a God-given right to have that first place, to have that jacket, to have that ring, and it just be expected when you go into awards.
Well, guys, you know that if there's 20 people in the division, only your chances of winning are 1 in 20.
I just find it crazy, to be honest. And I've always struggled with, I've never really understood why, and it has happened, is why there are coaches within the UK, and it's not a lot of them, but why they're not willing to be helpful or supportive in some situations. I just feel like if there was a coach that was struggling and I was at a legacy comp, I'd be more than happy to help. And I'm not sitting here trying to blow my own trumpet at all. I just think comps are stressful enough. If you are having a meltdown as a coach, you should be able to reach out to any one of us that are there, whether we're busy or not. There's plenty of us around that could help you in that moment, or try and advise in that moment, or even point them in the direction of legacy staff to go and get the help that you need. I've never understood why people are left to struggle or made to feel like they can't reach out, because essentially as coaches, we're all in the same boat. We're all there to do the same thing. We all want the same goal. Are we all going to get the same goal? Of course we're not. That's why there's first, second, third, or whatever. But that doesn't mean if I've beaten you in that division or you've beaten me in that division, why we can't shake hands and say congratulations. Why does it have to be such a Aggie, so to speak, environment? And it's just something I really, really struggle with, and want to almost throttle people sometimes when we're at competitions.
Do you think, Carly, that is a reflection of where we are in the world right now? Do you feel like this is a reflection of kind of the animosity that you see and the polarization that you see sometimes out in the real world, in politics or in opinions or in all of the different things across social media that people would like to argue about? Do you think that has creeped into sports and business in and of itself because of just the time and era of where we are right now? Or do you feel? Yes.
So I'm going to tag on to Aly's question on that. Aly and I personally are the not fans of the participant trophy model.
Everybody wins a trophy. No.
Like, that doesn't help anyone.
No.
However, we fill giant legacy. Our company fills giant arenas full of 600 teams who paid money to come to this event and spent time and energy. So we tried on multiple occasions to not be the people that give a participation trophy or banner or whatever. And we got absolutely blasted on emails, on social media, what horrible people we were because my child came to compete and you didn't give them anything to go home with. And I think first it shocked
we don't
us,
get a
like,
free medal
really?
for showing up.
Your kid just came to a concert arena full of production, photos, like experience, and they are learning the life lesson of being leaders for life. Congratulations. But no, they want the banner. And also, why didn't you give them a medal as well? So it's interesting to me that, so now what we frame it, and you'll hear us talk about it at the awards, this isn't because you all deserve a banner. It's because this particular banner, unless you're kind of at the top banners get bigger banners. So that's your award for kind of high achievement. The smaller banners are a celebration and a commemoration of the journey that you took to get there, which is important. I'm not dismissing that. That is important, but where do you sit on this equation? Because obviously your team kind of wins a higher number than average of the higher placements, and because you've built that culture for a long time. So that's just the reality. But let's say your team gets a lower placement in a division. How does that feel on your side as a coach, as parents, as athletes? And how does it feel when I'm saying this conversation to you that really not everyone should? We're going to give it to you because we're going to get nasty emails if we don't. But also, we want you to understand our heart behind it is pure, that we want you to be a better human because you were part of this sport.
I suppose I have to say that, as cheesy as it might sound, we've never really thought about the trophy side of stuff. Like, obviously, back in the early days of Legacy, we used to have the glass trophies, which obviously
which were beautiful.
We have which they were, and we have quite a few of, and then it went over into the banners side of stuff. But it was never even a conversation for us. Like, we obviously, because of the level we're at now, which we've worked extremely hard to get to, we know that the kids want nothing more than to have one of those top 3 banners. Like, that is the goal, to have one of the top 3 banners.
And that's a good thing. I'm not messing with that. That's a good thing.
No, of course but at the same time, we have a fair few of the Building Leaders for Life banners, which are below the 3rd place. We came away with one at the last competition up in Birmingham. You know, one of our and it was unfortunate, one of our teams had a pretty bad fall and we had to stop and then go again. But they still placed extremely well. Was it in the top 3? No. But the fact that they still made it and still placed well within that division, they were up and down screaming, taking that banner like they just won 1st place. So
I love it.
We don't
I
really
love that.
And
so you understand the mentality of those banners, because any banner 4th place or lower at our events at Legacy will say Building Leaders for Life, because that's literally written on the sides of our truck. Yep. That's the mission of the company. Congratulations if you can flip and twist, but we are most excited about the genuine leaders we're building. We're creating, and you're creating in your gym, entrepreneurs, great spouses, great friends, great leaders, great corporate leaders. Your women who are in youth sports right now are going to grow up. If they go to the corporate world, they're probably going to be C-suite type leaders, because that's literally the science of C-suite. So we've just you have this massive honor and you're doing it great.
It's because we just want them to be happy with what they're putting out on the floor. And we've always said, look, whether mistakes happen or not, because I know with my athletes, I can tell 100% if they are giving 100% on the floor. Mistakes happen, falls happen. It is what it is. That's life. And I can take the falls if I know that you've given 110% on that floor. As a coach, I have an issue if I know that you haven't gone out there and given your all, because I don't want you to come complaining at me if you don't place where you are ultimately hoping to place when you haven't put 100% on the floor. And that, whether the athletes want to hear it or not, whether the parents want to hear it or not, we're always going to be honest with that. And it just is, I just feel like these kids, we've always taught them that no matter where you place, you do it with grace, because if you're a team that is not happy with where they're placed, and you're pulling faces and you're throwing your hands in the air and you're doing all of this, I get secondhand embarrassment. It is just not a vibe for me, like, at all. I really, and
I'm so embarrassed for you.
Yeah. I just, if that was, and again, I know I've mentioned him before, but Wayne is exactly the same, as is Skylar.
I believe it.
Even if we get, we're lucky enough to get up into the top 3, if we aren't called second and we then know that we have won the division, obviously the kids want to go crazy because they haven't been called second. But the amount of times we are like, no, shh, be quiet, because we want second place to have.
It's so exciting, Car.
I know, and we're just like, we get it, just contain it, because you can't take that. You've just given however many teams, you've just given 10th place to 3rd place their moment, because you know that it isn't you, and you've celebrated them and you've clapped them. Don't take that away from second place just because you've been lucky enough to win. It's not how I want my kids to be. So whether it's trophy, whether it's banner, whether it's medal, whatever, ultimately what our kids are fighting for is that 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, whatever, making it halfway out of a division of 20. We always aim for halfway, and anything above that is a bonus. So
that humility will take you far, and it will take them far. So thank you for teaching.
I hope so. I mean, one of our biggest things is that we always want the athletes to leave better people than when they came. And like I said earlier, just touching back slightly on just having good manners and anything like that, we genuinely want them to be good humans, and we want them to learn to have a good work ethic, to, when you lose, take it with grace. When you win, take it with grace, and just be good people, because that is ultimately what's going to happen in life. They're not going to get everything they want. They're not going to get every job that they apply for, or, whichever way it goes. And they need to know how to deal with that well. And we just try, and we say it to the parents as well, like we want to work alongside you to give these kids what they want, but to make them good people at the same time. And I think we've done a pretty good job over the years with it, and hopefully we've still got another decade to go in doing it with the kids that come in the future. So it's just, for us, it is just be kind, be polite, support others, and that outweighs any 1st place trophy you're going to get, in my opinion, personally.
Carly, you talked about the parents and this conversation, but sometimes do you feel like what you are teaching these young ladies, these young athletes, through their experiences with you, do you also feel like you are teaching the parents as well alongside them? Because as parents, as cheer moms in particular, we're just all figuring this stuff out all at the same time. Nobody ever has it all figured out, right? And so as the gym owner, as the coach, as the cheer mom, do you feel like you're all growing together and learning these life lessons together?
Definitely. Again, don't get me wrong. I have my moments with parents, like every coach does. you can't please everyone. And sometimes even when you're trying to make them understand that you're going down this route because you know their child on the cheer level, or you're going whichever way route you're going down, sometimes again parents can be so fixated on where they specifically want their child or whatever, or that they're not as committed to the training side of stuff. Oh, they can't come today because there's a party or whatever. I always try from the beginning of even the first day that I meet these parents, I try and make it abundantly clear kind of how we work and what our expectations are. And even if it means that we effectively lose business, I always start with, if this is something that you're going to come into, it is a commitment and it is hard work and it is back and forth and it is long hours of training and traveling around the country to different competitions. So please read through all the information. Please think about everything before you commit, because once you do commit, there is an expectation from parents and athletes, because you know we all know what it's like when one athlete is missing from a training session or an athlete pulls out 2 weeks before competition. Like the work that then has to surround that in trying to sort the routine out, or trying to help that stunt, if it's the stunt group that's not been hitting lately and they're still missing someone or anything like that, it can get extremely hard. And it's like, well, you know, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, I don't want to come to training today. And it's like, well, I'm a mum too, guys, and I'm here at training, Skylar's here at training, like sacrifices.
And that's why I say it feels like so often we have to teach our parents alongside, because especially in the teamwork component, when one of us doesn't show up for practice, that is not just about the one that's not showing up for practice. That is impacting the entire team. And the entire team has been sacrificing and giving so much that it just takes one person. And so our athletes are learning that, because there's a score sheet and they come out on the floor together, and it's physically impossible to do certain skills without the entire group there. But to your conversation about setting the expectation and making sure everybody understands that, it is so heavily weighted on being a team sport and other people relying on us and other people relying on what we give. I think that is one of the biggest gifts our parent listeners can give to their athletes, because of how many people it impacts within their same team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I have one specific parent that the first year she came to join us, she openly says, season 1, I had no clue. It was just like a whirlwind, and I was here, there, everywhere, and doing this and doing that. And she said, but once I'd kind of gotten through my first season and into my second season, I knew more about it. I knew what was expected. I knew this had to be on time, and I had to be here, and I had to be there. And she's probably on her 4th or 5th season now. And she'll just come up to me and she'll go, right, where are we traveling next year? I haven't booked any holidays. What are we doing?
So do you guys have team parents? Do you use team parents?
We tried it, but my parents are very reluctant on that side of stuff. I don't know whether it's because they're afraid to be team parents, to be almost have that little bit of responsibility in setting stuff out for other parents. They don't want to feel like they're kind of not treading on people's toes, but kind of acting like the one that's kind of in charge. So yeah, it's been hard on that side of stuff, because all communication really does
I'm
just
laughing
go
at this
through.
because
I would reframe that though.
Yeah.
I would reframe that, because having team parents is an absolute gift, because I look at it as the team parent as a mentor number one, for the very people like you just gave the example about, the parents who are just coming in, who don't have a clue of what to expect, rightfully so. Like, how could you possibly know when you're first coming into the sport? If that same parent who's now 4 or 5 years in, they're far enough in to know exactly what the expectations are, they're coming to you asking the questions anyway, but they're close enough to year one when they can relate to not having all the answers and not knowing what you don't know. So that team, I would call it a team mentor, call it whatever you want, but not only does it take the logistics,
team liaison
admin
maybe
away from
would
you.
help. A team liaison would help. But you know, Aly and I, it was
my
funny
life a
because
lot easier.
it does, and I think that's important because when Aly and I had our daughters cheerleading in their teenage years, of course, the gym owners knew exactly what we did for a living, and you fill giant arenas of running cheerleading competitions, so you have no choice. You are the team mom. Like, that was just decided for us. But it was very helpful because we were able, as just a person in the room, to go take a head count, to find anybody who might be running late. We were running the phone calls to make sure, are you okay? You know, if a female athlete didn't have feminine products that she needed, we would facilitate that and do it with integrity so their child was protected. And if their child had an emotional situation, we could help regulate the emotional intelligence conversation. So there were a lot of times where it wasn't really like anyone thought we were in charge. People would use us as a resource to help calm a situation or get communication that they knew they didn't have access to the coaches because the coaches had a lot of other teams and a lot of other tasks. They relied on us for helpful information when it was needed as the team parent. And
my parents
it was great.
Definitely helped me more at comp. They we
On
have
competition
our
days,
little system when it comes to competition days where I always send out an itinerary the week before, like, this is what is happening, this is when I need athletes, this is when we're going to what we call downtime, which we go to about 45 minutes before warm-up, check-in. We go and have our little party and team chats and do all of our superstitions and stuff. So parents always know where we need to be, but all of the parents have WhatsApp groups, which us coaches are in as well. And, you know, we'll say, Wayne will take control on the day for argument's sake and be like, I'll be like, Wayne, right, can you tell the parents I need X, Y, Z? And he'll go in, he'll do that. And then it's almost like a little tree. They'll start going down one after the other and going, we need this athlete, and we need to all meet here. And you'll just see like a mum or a dad running along with 10 little tinies behind them coming to meet us at a certain point in
like
the
little
arena.
ducks
So
walking in the row.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely all come together more over a comp weekend and stuff. But yeah, I am not opposed to having team mums. I would love to have team mums that, you know.
All right, Ice Fusion moms, this is your official call.
Yeah, please,
team mom meeting.
Please.
That's right.
Season 13, team mums, please.
So I have a couple final questions for you, Karkar. First, do you have... Okay, you've got a lot of happy memories from Ice Fusion. If you had to pick one, what would be one of your happiest moments in the history of your cheer career?
I would say for me, the biggest highlight for us was our first journey that we were lucky enough to go and compete in America. After we were given our first bid at Legacy, and we had worked so hard for that journey in every aspect, from the kind of level of cheer that we were doing and how we were working on technique and everything like that. And sorry, I've got Wayne looking at me through the window. And the way we kind of came together and managed to pull all of that off, and we were extremely lucky enough to win our division when we went, and seeing that moment come to life for those athletes and what it meant to them and the emotions that came out of those kids that day, even just performing on the floor, getting to come out in such a big arena and have that moment of, you know, even down to having Ice Fusion on the screen behind them when they got to perform. That was such a moment for them, and they were just so incredibly grateful. And I think that for me is something that is going to stay forever. It will always be my favorite moment. So yeah, for me, it was that one.
And rightfully so.
Well, the world is lucky to have you, because you are such an empowering leader, and you're also being mentored while you mentor. And we're so lucky to know you as a friend and a colleague, and certainly happy to have you guys joining us at legacy events all the time. Thank you. We love you back. And you've been a delight to visit with today. We're so grateful for you and the presence and the light that you bring to the world.
I really appreciate it.
Much appreciated on our end as well. Thank you for joining us so much, Carly, and thank all of you for watching here at L3. We are delighted to have you. Until then, lead boldly, love deeply, and live your legacy. We'll see you next time, everyone.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today on the Lead, Love, Legacy podcast.
Remember, lead boldly, love deeply, and live your legacy.
If this episode encouraged you, like and subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it.
And join us next time as we continue to build leaders and legacies for life.